Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Patterson L Properties. Hopefully, you guys are keeping it nice and safe out there, all that good stuff. Just going to be going over some basic things, with us living in these unprecedented times that we live in. One thing I can definitely say with all sincerity is that now is the time for those who can't afford to buy land, buy any distressed property if possible, and move forward from there. For those that can't afford, obviously, within the United States of America. Because unfortunately, since there is no certainty with all this craziness, one thing is definitely clear. The people will always need a place somewhere to live, and that's definitely just a must, obviously. And wholesalers like myself and others out there know that what's coming our way, unfortunately, because I'm not celebrating off anybody's misfortune, is possibly a lot of foreclosures and motivated sellers and tired landlords and so on, with all this stuff that's going on and money not flowing as it's supposed to. And unfortunately, a lot of businesses aren't even going to be able to recover from this unfortunate situation. But I'm going to go over certain areas, certain things to look at even now. But let's go over some properties, land that could possibly be valuable one day, or for those who are just going to obtain those stimulus checks, tax returns, and small business loans, grants, and all that good stuff. Because there's so much information out there, so many opportunities out there for business owners and regular working people, for those with the right mindset. With the Small Business Loan Administration, you get grants up from $1,000 to $10,000 with the I believe it's the program protection plan. Program protection in regards to another aspect of getting funding from the Small Business Administration. So that, obviously you go on the website, get information from them, give them a call, email them, et cetera, and so forth if you need additional details. But there's a lot of great information out there and opportunities out there for those who want to take action. And I just want to go over a few homes and pieces of land for those that are willing to think outside of the box. Because if you're like myself, you live in a metropolitan area that is overpriced for no reason. You got to look at other parts of the country that might be more affordable for a regular working person now. And if you see these areas, like Memphis, Tennessee, I was actually supposed to go to Memphis, Tennessee at the end of this month, but obviously what's going on right now, I canceled that trip, postponed it, let me put it that way, to where I'm like, I'll go back down there for another time, because it's not even just this that's happening right now with these specific properties, but you have land bank opportunities that the city of Memphis is trying to get rid of a lot of land and homes and whatnot for people with the right mindset. Because a lot of corporations actually just buying up these, kind of like what happened in Detroit, people just buying up properties cents on a dollar. And a lot of corporations, they have a lot of disposable income, so they buy these properties cents on the dollar, they refurbish them, do what they got to do, they sell them or they rent them out, whatever happens, But that's what's happening in places like Memphis, Tennessee. That's what's happening in Detroit, and that's going to happen in a lot of distressed cities and whatnot. Because any place in America with a decent downtown, there's going to be investors that come in and buy up the property at cents on the dollar and flip it and make it overpriced for the people that grew up in that community, can't afford to live there anymore. But hey, that's just how it is. Don't believe me? If you look at Washington, D.C. 20 years ago, the cost of living was way down less compared to what it is now. And a lot of the homes weren't as refurbished as you see now. Same thing in New York City, same thing in Los Angeles, Chicago, Detroit. I could go New Orleans, Miami, Atlanta, Houston. Like I said, the list goes on and on. A lot of major cities used to be quote unquote wastelands, and now everybody's buying up real estate. Like if a property goes on the market in a major city, even nowadays, most likely they're going to be gone just like that, So if you want to be able to try to look at these opportunities before you're outpriced, just look at it like that. But that's just one thing. Because the craziest thing is, in a lot of families, especially in the African American community, family, unfortunately, a lot of times, if you do not see enough people owning homes, and especially land without a mortgage on it. Even if you have a high amount of home ownership, you don't see it usually without a mortgage. And unfortunately, with the times that we're living in right now, a lot of people having to ask for forbearance and things of that nature because they can't afford to actually pay their their mortgage. And even with that, that's a crazy situation, because basically if you skipped a couple of months, you got to pay all that money. If you can't even afford to pay 1 month, what makes most people think that you're going to be able to pay 2 to 3 months worth of your mortgage. So yeah, if you can, pay your mortgage. Okay, that's all I can say on that. I'm paying mine. But anyways, but that's the thing. It's like, just imagine living in these times right now. And all you have to worry about was personal property taxes, utilities, and insurance. Instead of, you have to pay that anyways when you own a house and with a mortgage on top of it. So imagine if you were living in these times right now, say you lost your job, but you was able to get something else that just to be able to keep the lights on and whatnot and food in your mouth, but you don't have to worry about paying a huge mortgage. For a lot of people, it's a thing it's the impossible dream. But for, I think we need to get back to that, at least having that one house in your central family, if you brothers and sisters, cousins, whatever, to where you actually have a property where you're not worried about paying the mortgage on it or anything of that nature. Because rough times like this will occur again. We live in a boom or bust economy anyway, so it's just in every family's best interest, not only to have a business, but it's definitely in every family's best interest to own a house without a mortgage on it. Just saying. If anybody remembers that old school movie from Soul Food, Big Mama's house, quote unquote, well, it wasn't Big Mama's house, but Mom's house, who was the elder of the family. That house, I believe, was paid outright, and it was in the family. They kept it in the family. And people of that generation did that, and that's like 2 generations ago. And I think we need to get back to that because of times like this. Whether the stock market crashes, whether jobs are lost, whether there's an epidemic, a pandemic going on, we need to get back to those days where you at least have something in the background to where, as a backup plan, because you just never know. Especially if you're just going to have a job, you got to have some sort of a backup plan nowadays. If this doesn't teach people that, I don't know what will. But anyways, back to the story at hand. I can go off on a tangent about that. Don't get me started on that. But it's definitely part of the norm for everybody to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck and be constantly in debt. We need to make it part of the norm where people are not always paycheck to paycheck and constantly in debt. Just kind of flip it around. Good debt is when you can borrow from that debt and make money off of that debt. Bad debt is when it's constantly sucking away your paycheck. And most Americans don't even have $1,000 in their bank account. So with that being said, you got to have some sort of a backup plan, whether it's in the middle of the backwoods of any state or if it's in a major city, you got to have some sort of a backup plan. Or if you're in another country, a lot of people go to other countries where it's cheaper to live at. They own something outright. Hey, there's nothing wrong with thinking outside the box. That's how I look at it. But own something, and then a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of families don't even have a decent insurance policy. So that screws them up all at the same time. And if you look at the prices like this within Memphis, Tennessee, $12,000. And yes, a lot of these homes are fixer-uppers. Then you have the land, $7,000, $7,500 for 5 acres of land. Not a bad deal. My thing is, as long as I can get to it, that's all that matters. If it's landlocked, we might have an issue. That's just my personal opinion. For me, it's for people that are just starting out. Then you got $12,000, $500 in Michigan. Okay, opportunities. Okay, I might not be able to make that much money off of it. I might not be able to make anything off of it. Okay, but if you own it outright, you just never know. That's my whole reason for making this video. Just own something outright. It's like if you have a car and don't have a car note, it's a beautiful thing. It's not another thing sucking away your money dry. If you don't have crazy amounts of debt outside of business debts, it's not, you don't have these things sucking your pockets and your bank account dry. You know what I mean? And I look at it like this. There's so much money actually flowing around here, and there will be more real estate opportunities when all this craziness is over with. I will tell you that when it comes down to land, when it comes down to, the land that you might purchase might be valuable, may become valuable one day if you ever decide to build a home on it or build something on it. Even during the crisis, if you lose your job, and you cannot afford to live in a metropolitan area, whether it's from Houston to New York to DC to LA, anymore, you can't afford to live there on land. You have land as a backup, or possibly whatever house you bought as a backup plan. And I think we need to get back to the days of having a backup plan, because for that simple reason is because with backup plans, I'm not saying to not trust the system. I'm just saying you got to always have a backup plan because the job might dry up. Even if you own a business, the resources will dry up. By case in point, a lot of things have started to dry up out here for a lot of businesses because nobody could have foreseen this happening. I mean, let's just be with nobody. We all know we live in a boom and bust economy, but nobody could have foreseen this happening. And one thing that if your land is rich, getting back to the case in point, if your land is rich in resources, you just never know. So, and even if it's not quote unquote rich in farm resources or anything of that nature, maybe you could farm there, or you could use the resources that you see before you right now. You could use lumber, trees, dirt, rocks, anything that's quote unquote a part of your land and whatnot. Because small and big corporations a lot of times will actually pay you to extract resources from your land. You just never know. Or hey, you have these acres of land. I mean, heck, you look at this as $9,900 and $500 for 5 acres. Have a big party on it, for God's sakes. I don't know. Do something with it, turn it into something. Even though there's not much happening in that specific area. You got another place that's $13,000, $500 for 6 acres of land. Maybe it's a retirement package. You build something on it for you and your significant other, so you guys can live the rest of your days out in the area where it's quiet and affordable to live at. It's just something to think about. Heck, you never know. You might end up finding a valuable resource like oil, and that could be very profitable for you, because those oil companies will definitely be like. But anyways, that's just something to think about. People are going to be getting a lot more frugal, obviously, especially the smarter people are going to be getting a lot more frugal nowadays, which is in your best interest right now. We're definitely in the, if you can, save more, and if you can, invest more. But obviously invest more into the smart things that actually work for you and makes more sense. And before I even go more on that, obviously you see this, $8,900, 26 acres of land. I'm just saying. Now, yes, it's in Michigan. It might not be, one of those, might not be a real happening town in this specific area. But however, owning something like this, you might be able to turn it into something. You just never know. You get with the right people, you get with the right mindset, opportunities. $5,000, 10 acres of land. I'm just saying. I know a lot of people don't have just $5,000 to spend on something like this, but I'm just saying. It's nice to at least have something like this within your family if possible. You know what I mean? So, $15,000. 4.8 acres of land. You can look this stuff up. You don't have to take my word for it. Please look it up, okay? And there's a lot of land in West Texas that they're basically giving. There's land that they're basically trying to give away in West Texas. I was having a conversation with one of my buddies that lives in Houston. He was telling me, because he's actually from El Paso, but he lives in Houston because that's where he works, and he's a real estate agent and he works for a bank. But I'm sorry, he doesn't. He does IT and he's a real estate agent for a bank. So yeah, he's not actually a loan officer or nothing. But anyways, he was telling me about it, and I was looking, he sent me some links, and I was like, wow, you're right. They're basically like $8,000, $999, 42 acres of land in West Texas. Now, the land might not be rich in resources or anything of that nature, but 42 acres, family. I'm just saying. 20 acres, Barstow, Texas. Basically $7,000. Something to think about. 10 acres of land, 5 acres of land, almost $4,000. But anyways, another resource getting into it. A lot of people are going to be, especially with the dollar possibly losing so much value with all this, the money being printed from the Treasury right now, inflation going up higher. If you haven't noticed, a lot of things, especially going to the grocery store, have gone a little bit higher than expected. One thing, and then two, it's definitely in one's best interest to continuously buy stocks, buy bonds, buy gold. It's just, especially in cryptocurrency, so my thing now is basically, this is just me not speaking as a financial professional, but just speaking for me. I'm going to be buying more gold and more cryptocurrency because the dollar isn't really holding too much weight, in my personal opinion. Obviously, do your own research. It's not holding too much weight, and we're definitely living in times where you need to be buying more assets and save as much as possible. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Always remember, you can't own the company. You can't get fired if you own the company. All right, family? So please share, like, subscribe, and always keep on working harder, and we're going to get through this craziness. All right? Take care, family.